Can you talk about just that value of integrity that you've had since you were young, and how you're passing it to your children, but how that value was key in your decision to walk away from that season and from Willow?
Yeah. So I didn't grow up in a Christian home, and I came to faith when I was in 7th grade.
Okay.
Just kind of rode my bike to church and had a really great youth pastor.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very active in soccer and in basketball, and played college basketball. Play's not the right word. I sat the bench, but I got free shoes. But but it counts, right? But I'll never forget my youth pastor coming up to me and saying, "Steve, I don't care how many points you score. I don't care how many goals you score. All I care about is your character and your integrity. And integrity is the only thing that takes seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, seasons, years, decades to gain and seconds to lose. Be a man of integrity." And then he'd often ask me, "Did you have integrity today?" Wow. And it always was like this gut check. And early on, I was like, "Why are you asking me this question? I'm a high schooler. I'm a college student." But I realized he was forming me and shaping me to not be about platform or stages or performance, but to be about Christ and what Christ is asking me. My grandfather is buried at West Point. He was a general, and there's something called the cadet's prayer. And part of that prayer, every cadet had to memorize it for almost 100 years. But it says, "May we be committed to the harder right over the lesser wrong. May we live above the common level of life." And that's really what integrity is will I be really committed to the harder right? Will I not just live here because that's where everybody else is living, but I'll live to the values of Christ. And so when I had my first, and that was Emerson, he was, 2 years old. I'd put him to bed, tell him a story, pray with him. And then I'd always ask him, "Hey, bud, did you have integrity today?" And he didn't know what it meant, but he'd be like, what does integrity mean? And I just said, it means what you say what you mean, you follow the creed no matter what. And he goes, "I think I did. What about you, Dada?" And I was like, I think I did. And every day that's what we would do. And on the day that I resigned, it was a Sunday morning, and a story had broke in the New York Times. And I thought, okay, now we're going to be honest with the sin that's in the house. We got to be honest about it. But nobody really wanted to do that. And I got really sick to my stomach. And I went to a backstage bathroom, and I just vomited. I just was like, I can't play with people's trust anymore. And as I was washing my face, I thought of Hal, my youth pastor, and what Hal would say to me. And then I thought to myself, what if my son asks me today, "Dad, did you have integrity today?" I'm going to either have to lie to him if I go on that stage because I didn't choose the harder right, or I'm going to have to tell him, "Your dad didn't." I just wept. And I don't know if I would have made that decision for myself. But you know what it's like to be a dad, to be a role model, to be an example.
That's powerful.
It just, for me, was like gut check. Like, how much do I trust you, Lord? I mean, this is my dream job. I never made more money, never spoke to a bigger room, never had more opportunities. But it's, what good is it for you to gain the world but lose your soul? And I just was like, this isn't right. And I'm glad I chose that.